All right, let's get Facebook in here. We can start the show. Happy Monday morning, the 5th. Got wheels rocking and rolling. There's 1 and 2. Give it a second to breathe. And welcome in, folks. It is January 5th, 6:42 Mountain Time. I am Nick Kendall, joined by Eric Trickle. Eric, the Denver Broncos, our Denver Broncos, listeners, chat, your Denver Broncos, the number 1 seed in the AFC. God bless. We're here. I guess the one sad thing is we don't get to watch the Broncos this upcoming weekend, and it wasn't the most, exhibition game that we saw versus the Chargers. A little bit of nerves there. I think the announcers were, playing it up a bit if you were listening as well as watching, Eric. But Denver takes care of the Chargers 19-3, and they have the number 1 seed in the AFC, a bye week. What a great regular season. Shocking to me to some extent, I guess, to get the number 1 seed, especially with all the dead cap hit. And we just saw Charles Cross get a big contract yesterday, one of those top 10 picks the Broncos gave up when they got for Russell Wilson as well. That's more hurtful to me than the cap room. So, man, what a job. Bo Nix, Sean Payton, George Payton, Vance Joseph, everybody top to bottom, number 1 seed. What a regular season it has been. And I think we're playing mostly with house money from this point going forward. Mostly. We'll have a chance to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think that we had a bet earlier in the season where you had to shave your head or something like that because if the Broncos won more than like 10 games or something like that.
I don't think that was me. That doesn't. Somebody can find that. I don't think I'd have.
I was hoping you'd buy it.
Yeah, the person who always like wagers their hair is Carl, not me. I have not. I don't think I have. Other than facial hair, I've not done that.
No, it's just it was a joke. Nobody's actually made that wager, but no, I mean it was a great season. Not a lot of people, especially after the start 1 and 2, a lot of people were, saying that Denver was done basically and writing Denver off. And they managed to pull it off. That win streak was unbelievable. Not just the fact that they pulled off that many straight wins, but how they pulled some of those off. And it's just an unbelievable season. It's going to be fun to look back and reflect on it, but still have, games left before we even get to that. As you said, no game this weekend because it got that number 1 seed. Thankfully, I think this is a great year to get that number 1 seed with how wide open the AFC is. And, it's on to this week fixing some of those issues that you had against the Chargers, getting into the red zone or near the red zone as often as they did and walking out with field goals instead of touchdowns. Got to figure out what's with that. Maybe it was vanilla play calling. Maybe it was execution. Maybe it was a combination of things. And then next week, it's on to preparing for whoever you end up going to be facing, which could be the Chargers again.
Yeah, very well could be. The only 2 teams it cannot be would be the New England Patriots or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Both of those teams, assuming they win this weekend, Patriots would obviously host a game being a 2 seed, and Jags would head that way or host a game if the Patriots lose to the Chargers, which is possible. Obviously everybody's on fraud watch with every single team in the AFC, it feels like, but the Patriots only winning 2 games this season versus teams with above 500 records. I mean, Chargers I think match up pretty well against them on the whole too. So who knows? I think I'd rather have the Chargers coming in than the Texans, but we did see the Texans give up 30 points or something to the Riley Leonard Colts as well, in a game that did matter for them at the time as well. So, because they weren't sure. I mean, I guess probably halfway through they knew the Jags were going to win because they obliterated the Titans. But yeah, no, it has been a really good season. And then, man, what a turnaround to be. We're front runners now. We still do love underdogs though, Eric, on the whole as well. This is just too good of a transition. I know we're a little early, but we still do love underdogs.
Yeah, speaking of underdogs, the NFL playoffs are here, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Are you ready to get off the bench and into the game? Then head over to Underdog. By the way, it's not just football. Whether you're into basketball, hockey, or any sport in between, Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action all season long.
That's right. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher and lower on stats such as rushing yards, pass yards, receptions, touchdowns, etc., and much more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash.
Yeah, a lot of people have so much fun playing Underdog and winning money while watching football. That's a touchdown, you guys. You can download the Underdog app today and sign up with promo code MHuddle to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Awesome. Well, let's say hello to people in the chat now that we got business out of the way. We got David Youngkin coming in here. He says a win is a win regardless of how ugly. Thank God for that defensive touchdown and that defensive strip sack. There's 10 points right there. I mean, Denver finally kind of getting on the turnover turnaround there. And I know it was against Trey Lance and everything there, but I feel as encouraged as you could be given the opponents you were playing versus the last, 2 weeks, 3 of the last 2 weeks. Who did Denver play last week? I'm like totally blanking right now. Wasn't the
Chiefs on Christmas?
They did do Chiefs. Okay, that feels like so long ago. Man, okay, it was the Chiefs because they had that Thursday game. So really the last 2 games, I mean, they dominated. The quarterbacks matter, but you play who's in front of you as well, and they got to be feeling pretty good. Good to see you, David. And yeah, a win is a win is a win. We saw some teams playing some teams that were out this week that gave it up, and this Chargers team has had the Broncos number. I'm really hoping Jesse Minter gets hired somewhere because he seems to really have Sean Payton's number. Not many do. Jesse Minter up front, I don't know what it is, if it's a scheme, but Denver just can't seem to block him up front or get deep shots on them. So tough game for the Broncos offense, but the defense looked great. Good to see you, David. We got Dave Glassman coming in and says, please, Peyton, I hope you have some great offense stashed away for us. Okay, Eric, I do want to ask you this, and maybe this is just me being copium, but it felt very vanilla preseason offense out there a lot for the last 2 weeks for the Broncos. Now, some of it's very frustrating, obviously, just like blocking them up in the run game. But I felt like a lot of good run blitzes from Jesse Minter and the Chargers. Is it cope for me to say that the Broncos were playing not to show anything and not to lose to a certain extent this week and last week as well, given the level of the opponent that they were playing, not having to show all your cards, not having to go in your bag for everything and just play not to lose and very simple not show anything? Is that cope of me to say that?
Yes and no. I think for the most part, that was what they were doing. I think when they got into scoring position, they kind of went into their bag a little bit more, and then they just struggled to execute there. So, and then when they needed, they obviously pulled some stuff out, but I don't think it was, the whole time. I don't think that they were going vanilla, super simple, super clean, not wanting to show anything. Just when they needed to, they'd pull something out and just struggle there. So a little bit of both, more so vanilla, I would say. But yeah, it was a concern with them. It's a concern with this offense because the track record that they're building in getting close to the red zone or in the red zone and walking away with field goals isn't great. And it's not just the last 2 games. And that was an issue that they had against the Jaguars as well. And that was a game where they definitely weren't being vanilla at all. No. And they were trying to walk out with the win in that one desperately. But yeah, it's a concern. And Jesse Minter definitely has Peyton's number. He has the blocking concepts number, both in the run and pass. Denver only allowed over 40% pressure rate all season long twice, and both times was the Chargers. And
not the Raiders Thursday night game. They were really struggling against the Raiders Thursday night too, blocking them.
The Raiders on Thursday night was basically 37%, and then the Texans game was 38.5%.
Okay.
So only 2 games over 40 was the 40.6 in this last one, and then 3.8 in the first one. So just the 2 Chargers games, and they just had their number all night long. Bad game from the offensive line. Quinn Miners looked rough, so hopefully it's just something that Jesse Minter sees on tape and is just able to exploit that. Fortunately, other teams haven't. And hopefully if Jesse Minter doesn't get hired away, as many people expect, Sean Payton and Zach Strief, if he's still around next season, look to the tape and find whatever that issue is and fix it.
Yeah. I mean, they have a week to work on it as well if the Chargers do end up coming back to Denver. Yep. So we will see. Yeah, it was not great from the offense. I did want to give a shout out to somebody on offense, but first, super chat coming in here. Perry West, $20. Thank you so much, Perry. Flashing orange on us on our screen. says, good morning, guys. Offense looked okay. Defense was on point for most of the game. Special teams were good. Yeah, I thought special teams were fine. There was a punt that really, I messaged in the chat that I was pissed off because it was like they punted from the 50, which I understood, but you cannot have a touchback there. Like you can't do that and only give up 30 net yards change. You might as well go for it if that's what's going to happen. So that was the one that really bothered me. Just not a good enough punt, not good enough coverage. Either you need a little bit more air on it, but you guys got to figure out how to keep that from being a touchback. I mean, those yards really matter in the NFL. So that was the one that stood out to me. That irritated me for the Broncos. But other than that, I thought good special teams. Shout out to Will Lutz for coming through, and maybe he'll be special teams player of the week again. Not going to be either the kickers in the Pittsburgh Ravens game last night, I don't think. But no, probably I'll give a shout out to Will Lutz for that one.
Yeah, it's going to be Cam Little, right?
Oh, yeah.
67-yarder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, special teams was good. I don't think the punting was great because Jeremy Crawshaw also had another one that he kind of shanked. That was really short as well. So it was a hit or miss game. I mean, he punted 9-10 times on the
Something
game.
like that. Yeah.
And if we can only think of 2 punts, that's not a bad punts. That's not a bad game from the punter. Marvin Mims had a big return, and they didn't allow many big things to happen for the Chargers and go the Chargers' way. And so I'd say overall, hats off to the special teams unit, hats off to the defense. Offense, again, that's just where they struggled a little bit, even with Jesse Minter having the number, even with the the depth that they do have on the defensive side of the ball, which I can't remember who it was, but I've seen a few people come out today says when you get backups who step in and play as good as the Chargers did, that is a sign of good coaching. And that is going to be a big reason why Jesse Minter is so coveted as a head coach. So they really hat tip to them. But man, again, just the offense, what they did against a team that didn't have any of their stars on defense, it's a concern. But yeah, most of the game, defense was on point. Special teams were good.
Yeah, and just kind of showing the punting discrepancy. Now, granted, J.K. Scott's a great punter for the Chargers, but he had 7 punts, 58.7 average, 4 in the 20. That in the 20 is the main stat there for me. Crawshaw had 6 punts, only 1 in the 20. Each had a touchback, but Denver was not winning field position in this one, outside of the turnovers, of course, for the Broncos as well. And that was the key difference in the game. Now, I do think the Broncos, if they had to, turn it up a bit, they would have. But the one thing on offense that I think goes against kind of the cope that we were talking about that I've seen, online and everything, and I feel it a little bit too. But I think if you were playing so conservative and felt like you had the game, no matter what you did, in hand, if you didn't outright lose it, do you see Bo Nix rush it 8 times in a game like that? I know that it's you still have to win the game, but I feel like, the scramble attempts from the quarterback, if you are head and shoulders above a team, right? You okay, well, get rid of the ball, protect yourself. If Bo Nix goes down, right? So that's the one where it's I don't know how truly they were being coached, not show anything or play conservative and protect themselves, get out of there with no injuries. Because Bo Nix, especially the last 2 weeks, has really upped the rushing, which is a good part of the offense. I just don't love that you've had to play that card versus the 2 opponents that we did play these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily a sign against the vanilla offense or anything like that. I think it's just Bo Nix being a competitor, seeing the opportunity and still wanting to go out there and lead the team to win. Because all 8 of those were on scrambles. Might have been one.
It might have been one.
And then because there was a one screen where he pulled it down and ran, which that was a smart decision by him because that screen was blown up. And there was the big scramble. And even after that, outside of the screen one, I can't remember a time where he put himself at risk. He still was safe and protected himself, sliding early or stepping out of bounds. So he was still scrambling to protect himself and keep himself out of harm's way. So I don't think that really goes against the vanilla play calling or anything like that, and just speaks more to Bo Nix being the competitor that he is.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I just didn't love that they had to run it. It's a good. I like it as a break glass in case of emergency and in must-have situations, but I don't love it being such a crux of the offense as much as it has been the last 2 weeks. Yeah, we'll see. We got Mike Thompson coming in here, says number 1 seed, baby. I know people were mad about winning, but I'm not. Number 1 seed. Yeah, Denver gets a win that is not a one score margin. So we don't break the all-time record for one score wins, I believe. I know Erick's bummed about that. He's also bummed about the not having the worst turnover takeaway season in Broncos history. We were close there, but the defense, did they tie in the end?
They beat it by one. They set the
one.
record for the second lowest. Okay. The record still belongs to, I believe, 2006.
That was a good team. No, that was the year after they went to the AFC Championship. That would have been the Jay Cutler first season, maybe somewhere around there. I don't know. I'm getting old, and that's 20 years ago now. So shout out to that, and not to age anybody in here. But yeah, thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, number 1 seed. Do I take much away from this game? Honestly, the big things I'm taking away from this game, Eric, you mentioned it, the red zone stuff, still concerning for me. The run game stuff, very concerning for me, specifically RJ Harvey. They were running it well, I think, early on, but they clamped down. Shout out to Jaleel McLaughlin. I mean, he might need to be getting way more of the snaps, which I don't think he's incredibly talented, but 6 carries for 41 yards versus 15 for 28. I mean, ding, ding, ding. That's a huge freaking difference for the Broncos run game between Harvey and McLaughlin. So I don't know. We got Spaceman coming to interstate. I'd be shocked if the playoffs are just screens and runs. We have seen what this offense needs when they need it. Just had to coast. I'm not worried because I remember how it was the last 10 years. I guess I am worried a little bit, but I'm always worried a little bit. You know, there's things to work on. I think Sean Payton had a quote in the post-game press conference about not being satisfied or he's never happy. I think was his exact quote. It's like, my coach. Some people come, Twitter or whatever is like, man, you're negative. It's like, there's no such thing as a perfect game, and there's always things to poke at and prod at. That's within the game itself. That's with team building too. I mean, you always got to strive to reinvent yourself as a team, game to game, drive to drive, and season to season. So I think I don't share a brain with Sean Payton. He's much football smarter. Maybe I'm nicer. I don't know. But I'm with him as far as never being totally satisfied. And Dylan has some news for us. Stefanski fired out of Cleveland. He'll be gobbled up quickly if he wants a job, I would imagine, given his scheme and the absolute you-know-what that has been Cleveland for a few seasons. But I'll be curious. So we have 2 official firings in the last 24 hours now. We had some jobs that were already open, but it is Black Monday today, so not having to worry about that for the Broncos. What we are going to have to worry about is coaches being picked and plucked and taken away. But we'll address that when we get there. Maybe the chat, maybe somebody will give a super chat. And we can get into more of that as well. But how do you feel about the not being worried and the offense not screening and running when they have to play a team like this? The thing that concerns me, Eric, as I ask you a question and continue to ramble, I think the defense somewhat dictates the quick passes and the screens, and Denver is not running the ball efficiently enough to make them pay for doing that. So it's all connected for the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, even when they go a little bit more on the vanilla side, they're still they are trying to attack defenses where they are weak at, and that is something that we have seen all season long. I know a lot of fans don't like that or agree with it, but they're trying to take what the defense gives to them. They're just not going out there and executing. You brought up Harvey, and I do got to give a shout out to this. He had 37 yards after contact. So, I mean, that just goes to show that the line was just doing a terrible job with him. Even Jaleel McLaughlin had like 25 yards after contact. So McLaughlin was just a little bit able to make more of it, and Harvey fought. But when you don't have that consistent running game for it, it really does change what you have to do up. You do offensively in the passing game, that screen game and that quicker passing game. That becomes an extension of the running game because you can't fall back on that running game. You want those quick completions, and you use those to help run out the clock and, keep that ball control aspect of it, which Sean Payton has really delved into over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 weeks of the season of just, those, I don't know how many 6+ minute drives we've had or 8+ minute drives we've had, but it seems like there's been a lot. So I get not being worried. And I think there is a lot that people are worrying about with this offense that they shouldn't be. The one element that I do think, or the 2 elements I would say that I think there is, the lack of consistent running game and the issues in the red zone, because We saw what that can do against a team like the Jaguars, where you're getting into the red zone and unable to score. And we even saw that in the Packers game, just on the flip side of it. The Packers were moving the ball, getting into the red zone or getting close to it, and unable to finish off in the end zone. And Denver walked out with the win in that one. They had that issue against the Jaguars. They walked out with the loss in that one. You got to end drives in the end zone. And that is one thing that with this offense, because it's become a trend with them, that is needed to be worried about.
I'll be honest, Eric, I have a real hard time taking away too much from these last two games because the games felt so weird from a personnel opponent. Like, it's kind of like, when you play a team's third string quarterback or backup quarterback and like the results are already at hand for a lot of those team seasons outcomes, just doesn't feel like it's much of a gauge for the team, the offense in general. And I still got to go out there and win. Like, there's guys out there playing for their own contracts. Like, that does matter. And not to be negative or anything like that, but the last game that felt like truly meaningful, where the stakes were high on both seeds, like a measuring stick game, was that Jags game. And they took it to the Broncos in that one. So we'll see. Again, Denver has to take care of business. So it's good to get that Jim Harbaugh monkey off our back to an extent. Like you mentioned, they were playing hard and good for him in general. But it's going to be a tough Chargers team to take care of if we play them again this season, but also next year, as well as they get both their superstar offensive tackles back on offense. So we'll see. We got Rob coming in. Oh, Casey first says number 1 seed. Let's go. Thank you, Casey. Hope you're doing well. Rob comes in and says, good morning, Nick and Eric. We won't win on field goals only, even if the defense looked pretty good. Let's get Drake and Algier next year. I would love Drake London and Tyler Algier would be good. There's a lot of running backs that interest me. Kenneth Walker, love Tyler Algier as well. Breece Hall. I'll be curious. There's somebody else I'm missing as well. I think David Montgomery might be available for a rather cheap trade because he's a third contract, second string running back, but he'd offer a little bit to your offense as well. I do wish it was a deeper running back class, because if that was the case, I would be like 1 year contract, J.K. Dobbins, go to the draft, day 2, make a move. I don't think that's a good strategy for the running backs in this class. Unfortunately, it's not good on the whole. There'll be a few guys who step up, but just the volume is not good enough to bank on that, I think. So we'll see. But yeah, I'd love Algier. Also, we need a tight end coming in here as well. Did you see the Sean Payton dig at Adam Troutman post-conference? Just razzing him a bit. But he said like Troutman was 5 catches away from a bonus of some sort. I don't know what the money was, and they talked about it.
$250K.
$250K. I mean, that I'll take it. But somebody asked Sean Payton about it, and Sean's like, I told Adam, you're 5 catches away, but you don't even get 5 catches. That's your season total. It's paraphrasing, but that was pretty much what it was. So sorry to Adam. Maybe they'll work something out to still get him that money. I don't know if that's allowed or anything, but that's pretty funny and kind of also an indicator of the tight end position for the Broncos as well. They could definitely use some firepower on that side of the ball, wherever they can get it at the offensive skill spot.
Yeah, I think they're going to be aggressive and looking for offensive weapons in the offseason, mainly through free agency. I'm expecting them to go hard at an inline tight end. I talked about this a little bit on Friday night, but if Dallas Goedert or David Njoku both have their contracts void, I'd expect them to go hard at one of them. If not them, if their contract's on void, then there's still a few other options out there. Wide receiver, I would expect them to evaluate the trade market. We know how aggressive Sean Payton can be with trading picks away especially for players that can help, or even moving up in the draft. And then running back, Breece Hall, Tyler Algier, those are a couple names that are out there that I wouldn't be surprised at all if Sean Payton is looking at whatsoever. But I expect them to try to make some big splashes with offensive weapons to help continue to build around Bo Nix this year.
Yeah.
Or next year.
This upcoming offseason.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, good to see Stephen Baumgartner coming in here with the Bo Nix avatar. Great to see you. Appreciate the ride or die there, Steve. Got Jay coming in, says, let's go Broncos. Heck yeah. Richie Rich, good morning from snowy Canada. God, Rich, send some of the snow my way. It's been unbelievably warm in Colorado. I've been enjoying it, but I've been kind of freaking out too. Like, I think it's hit 60 degrees 22 of the last 26 days, where the average is mid 40s. And it's one of the driest, warmest December, Januaries they've ever had in Denver, recorded history. So yeah, I don't know what it means for the ski resorts out here or any of the economy, but probably not good. Probably not good. Richie Rich, good to see you. Says Mike. We got Michael Ronquillo too. Says good morning, Nick and Eric on Broncos for breakfast. Go Bo Broncos. Go Michael. Hope you're doing well. We got Leroy coming in. Says was Sean Payton calling vanilla offense yesterday or the Chargers defense good? Another question was at the pass pro. What was with the pass pro? Never seen them play this bad. Worst of the season. We talked about it a lot. Leroy, hopefully you heard it. And credit to the Chargers defense, Jesse Minter, the block scheme, how they know the Broncos pass protection rules. And I think Denver was playing somewhat vanilla as well, but it's a little column A, column B in this one for me.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of both. And again, the offensive line, they struggled all game long. Jesse Minter has a number, second highest pressure rate allowed on the season, only behind the Chargers game earlier in it. And the Chargers I will say the Chargers did so blitzing more often. They blitzed not quite, but almost twice as much. 25, basically 26% in the first game, 45% in this one. So blitzed quite a bit more. And so there's a lot that went into it. Obviously, the Chargers have struggled getting pressure pretty much all season long. And without, their main pass rushers out there in Mack and Thule, they had to go elsewhere. And they brought some blitzes, smart blitzes, calculated blitzes. And they got home, sacked him 4 times, which I think is the most that Bo Nix has been sacked all season long. I think 4 sacks is the most.
Might be. I think he had 3 sacks versus the Raiders, and that was the high before that Thursday night game.
4 sacks, it's the most.
It's the most. So weird game from the Broncos offense. Not good by any means. I mean, the Bo Nix spray chart doesn't look very good, but 0 turnovers, only 1 false start. I think from the Broncos too, 1 5-yard penalty. I believe it was a false start. I can't remember exactly what it was off the top of my head. But turnovers and penalties, that was something to focus on. Now we got to get back in the red zone ways, which Denver was so good to start the season in the red zone, Eric. I mean, the offense couldn't move the ball for bleep. And if they got in the red zone, though, they were getting touchdowns. So hopefully they can figure something out there. We got Glenn coming from down under. Says the game was a little hard to watch for a fair weather fan. Peyton had very minuscule playbook. We did what needed to win. Really hope to take away sacks and improve tackling on defense. Would you say that tackling was it had to be improved based on like the Jags game, but there was still a few little squeakers here or there where I thought the tackling could have been a little bit improved. But he says now we rest for whoever's the lowest seeded winner next week. Building the Broncos for life, or Broncos, you mean Broncos for breakfast for life with that one. And also says state of being. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, tackling was better, but there are still moments where it can be cleaned up, especially in the run game. There was multiple times where, Chargers didn't do a whole lot on the ground, but there was some times. Talanoa Hufanga had one. Alex Singleton, Uwazurike, I believe they both had one where it could have been a little bit better. So there was definitely moments. And the fact that the Chargers had basically 60 yards after contact kind of speaks to some of those tackling issues that Denver had. And then going back to penalties, one thing is when the Broncos were entering the Jaguars game, there were second most penalties in the NFL. They are now they're now 5th most. So that's a positive sign for them. And they only had 1 penalty, as you said, in this game, and it was an illegal shift. Offensively, which went back and, watching it, it wasn't actually an illegal shift, but it is what it is, I guess. But it's just one of those things. But so hat tip to them that they've actually dropped down. They don't have that many more penalties than they did. They actually have 10 more penalties than they did entering the Jaguars game. So that's 3 games, 10 penalties. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And then drop them down in where they're at on the season.
Yeah. Good to see. That's something that Sean Payton really emphasized, and also the takeaways, and should have been 3, maybe 4, but that's how takeaways are, and you just got to keep at the ball. And finally, strip sack. That might have been the first strip sack this season.
I think they had one against Cam Ward in the season opener.
Okay, then they recovered it too?
Yeah.
Okay, that Titans game could have been 20 years ago, just like that 2016 you were referencing. We got Clayton coming in. Hey, guys, good to see you. Smash that like button and share. Mark Kennedy's in the house. Good morning. Go Broncos. Got Joey Grubbs. Offensive line got whooped all day. Yeah, they got whooped. Now, granted, they had 2 injuries on the line. I don't know if you heard post-game, Bowles' ankle was like massive, and he still went out there. And he said he was talking it as a locker after the game, saying he's already got people at his home waiting for him when he gets home to start treatment, right? And I guess PT right away. And he said there's no way in heck he's not going to go for that game here in, what do you say, 13 to 14 days, 12 days, if it's Saturday or Sunday. I don't know what the 1 seed will play for the AFC on that divisional round weekend, but we'll see. But you need Bulls better, and you need everybody playing better. It was a bad game overall, and bummer for Forsyth. I haven't heard anything. I'll give it to you, Eric. I haven't heard any like massive details. We'll probably find out more Wednesday, but maybe not with the bye week for the Broncos. But you got Forsyth going down with Mustafa coming in. I thought Forsyth was playing solid football, admirable football on the whole, and now then you got Mustafa in there, I believe, Sam Mustafa. Third string center. Then you had Crum come in for a little bit. Didn't look all that good. I mean, he's your fourth string offensive tackle. That's to be expected to some extent. But have you heard anything about the offensive line injuries? And of course, another one, PJ Locke. So it's really unfortunate. It feels like injuries, they really pick at the same position over and over again for a lot of times. And PJ Locke got injured. He did come back in though, correct? He did not come back in. He was out. Okay.
Yeah, PJ Locke was the only one who got hurt and didn't come back in. Forsyth came out for basically a drive, and then he came back in, and he played well to close out the game. And then Garrett Bowles went down early in the second quarter, didn't come back until a few plays into the third quarter, and he ended up playing a little bit better. It was still rough showing. Uwazurike also got banged up, but he only missed a few plays. But yeah, out of everybody, haven't heard any news about them outside of Garrett Bowles. Probably going to be an ankle sprain. It was what it sounds like, and just getting that taken care of. It's something to keep an eye on. But Forsyth came back. He came back. Uwazurike was in just a few plays later, and actually his play he came back, I believe, was that sack that he was a part of. And then PJ Locke, that's the one that is a little bit concerning. But Devin Keat played well in his stead, so. Hopefully, one, that it's nothing serious with PJ Locke, that he's not going to miss extended time, that, the bye week and the week of prep can help him bring him back, because Brian Jones isn't eligible to come back until, I believe, the championship game at the earliest, due to how the injury reserve rules work. And if he is, then hopefully Devin Keat can keep this level of play up and not falter, in their game, not next week, but the week after.
It's a battle of attrition a lot of times these NFL seasons. It's why people like you and I, Eric, freak out about, draft picks and just burning them, because at some point you're going to have to see your depth step up and win you games. And it's not only in the season, it's long-term building as well. Draft, develop, phase out. I mean, it's how they got to kind of think about it like college football, although maybe older college football, not now where everybody goes to the transfer portal. I think I saw a stat, Eric, 35% of all college football players are in the portal.
Over 4,500 players entered the portal.
Not sustainable. We'll figure something out here, I'm sure. Everybody's going to freaking Indiana too. I was like, it was cute at first. Now I'm starting to get mad about it. But we'll see what happens.
Iowa only has to offer corn, and nobody likes corn.
We have a lot of booze as well. So,
okay, for college kids, now you're probably talking.
Yeah. It's Iowa City. Yeah. It's
you're about that age.
You also got a chance to make some money in the NFL, because no program sends more players to the NFL with a lower average recruiting rank than the Iowa Hawkeyes. We'll see how much longer that goes with Kirk Ferentz, but
if you're an offensive line or tight end, go to Iowa.
Yeah, or honestly, defense as well. They put a lot of guys in the league on the defensive side. But if you're playing wide receiver, run. The offense was better this season, but it wasn't because of the pass game. It was the offensive line and the quarterback run. But anyway, enough Iowa Hawkeye stuff. I'm excited for the games this week. And this might be the best weekend of football in the entire year, given the stakes and everything and how many games we got. Every single one is an island game, but you got Thursday and Friday college football semifinals, and then you got games Saturday, 3 Sunday, 1 Monday. I mean, gosh, why can't the work break last one more week and I could just, rot away on the couch? But alas, Money Moore comes in and says, what would it take for VJ to stay? Championship ring, a first round exit. What would it take for VJ to stay would be him not doing well enough in the interviews and getting offered a job by somebody else. pretty much point blank, or other guys, just stepping up and maybe they're not buying what VJ is selling. But I would be pretty shocked if VJ is still here, especially given this is not a home run on paper, not a home run head coach candidate cycle.
Yeah, it would take basically him getting frozen out either for one reason or another in interviews, either teams deciding to go somewhere else because of how badly he interviews or how well somebody else interviews. Maybe, so a couple, surprise changes happen. I know that there's a lot of talk about with the Atlanta move, a guy that they're supposedly eyeballing if he gets let go or gets made available. But Vance Joseph, one team's been constant, mentioned with him. They want to go defensive minded, it sounds like, with bringing in someone young and fresh, or even sticking with the guy that they have, and that's the Giants. And Vance Joseph is one that has been constantly mentioned with them, even more so than guys like Jesse Minter. Vance Joseph's just been so even before they fired Dabble, Vance Joseph was often mentioned as that's a guy they're going to be looking at to replace him. And the word is that they're eyeballing a Vance Joseph head coach, Davis Webb offensive coordinator pairing, keeping that connection going with them if they can't convince Kafka to stick on as the offensive coordinator with the new head coach.
We'll see what happens. There's a few, what is there, 3 openings officially right now? Okay, I have Giants, Falcons, Browns, and who am I missing? Titans. Yep, Titans. So we'll see. Got Mike McCarthy out there, Stefanski out there. Minter's really highly thought of. We'll see about Joe Brady. We'll see about Clint Kubiak, Robert Saleh as well. He'll be an interesting one. Yeah, keeping an eye on it. Wishing Vance Joseph nothing but the best. He wants the opportunity if it's presented to him, so I'm not going to pull against him to stick at a spot. I think he deserves another chance to get out there and be a head coach. We got Linda coming in and says, I'm always worried. Hey, that's okay. That's always things to clean up, and hopefully everybody is getting healthier for that Broncos team as well. We got 2-2 Dub coming in here. Let me know if I mispronounced that. So the Broncos suck at fundamentals, can't catch the offense. Receivers or defensive backs can't tackle our quarterback, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Be a miracle if we win. I just wanted to point that out and say, see, there are people who are more negative than me. No, it's Denver. I thought Denver did okay with some fundamentals in this one. I just thought it was a pretty vanilla game plan, and Jesse Minter had a good one. And this also comes back to my very just like basic theory on football in general is if you lose up front, you're losing the football game pretty often. And luckily the Broncos, they were so overwhelming on defense that didn't matter, but Denver couldn't block them. And I mean, if you have Jamar Chase and Calvin Johnson out there, that's great. But it's hard to do anything if you are losing up front in both pass protection and run blocking. So I think that if I was, king of the Broncos or whatever, it'd be like, we have to have a top 10 offensive line every year. And we're going to invest in it to a point where it's like you're over investing because everything you want to do revolves around the trenches and the offensive line and the defensive line winning their matchups. So hopefully that was a outlier, and it's maybe good to have the Broncos get their butt kicked, go back and watch the film, get a little healthier, and be like, man, we got to play better because this team, the identity of the offense has been the offensive line. And when they don't play well, it looks like what we saw on Sunday.
Yeah, and again, credit to Jesse Minter for what he did, because I don't know what it was he was showing up front, but he had Bo Nix consistently setting the blocking the wrong way. He'd have him set heavy to the right, and the blitz would come from the left, and he'd get the advantage. So I don't know if it was I can't remember the terminology that he used in an interview, but it's basically option blitzing is the best way I can put it, where your quarterback calls one way and then you blitz the other guy on the other side, the other linebacker or defensive back.
What is the term for that, Eric? There's a word for it. I can't think of what it's called.
I can't either. I know I just watched the interview that Jesse Minter had where he talked about it. So that's probably what he was doing. And it's because he was talking about how he loved to. I would bet money this is what he was doing, I should say, because he was talking about how he
mirror blitz, a mirror, mirror.
That might be it. I think
mirror
so.
Blitz? I think
blitzes. Because he loves to bait quarterbacks into it. So he loves to show, like a heavy blitz on one side, bait them into shifting the blocking that way, and then getting the one-on-ones on the other side. It's which is very different than what we see in Denver, where what Vance Joseph does is he tries to pull the blocking inside by showing that double A mugs and gets those one-on-ones with the edge rushers. And he just needs to maximize off that, which shout out. I've been calling for more pirate stunts. We saw a pirate stunt from this week against Justice Renaud, ended in a sack. All 3 times they've done it this season has ended in a sack. So maybe they should do it a little bit more often. But yeah, every defensive mind has a different way of going about it. And I'm pretty sure mirror blitz is correct. And Jesse, that's a staple of a Jesse Minter defense.
Yeah, I think Hafley, whoever the Packers defensive coordinator, does it a lot as well, because he's got 2 very fast linebackers there that are not necessarily the best against the run up the middle, but man, they can run. Uncle Rico's Revenge coming in here says, can we please wear the throwback for the playoffs? I mean, Denver's undefeated in them, Eric. I don't think they're allowed to. I don't know what the rules are for that, but that would be great if they could. They definitely look better. I mean, I'm wearing the old school both, right now. I even have a blanket behind me. That's the old school logo. So, I mean, we're all in on the I love the D, Eric. You can put that on a shirt if you want. But we got Glenn coming in, agrees with Eric. League knows both should run 2 or 3 times a quarter. Jalil was good. I think that deliberately had Harvey run inside rather than go outside. Power is horrible. Cannot wait the big contract and draft a guard in the draft. I haven't had a chance to watch all 22. I don't even think it's out yet, Eric. I can't speak to how Powers or any individual on the offensive line played. I thought McGlinchey and Miners didn't look very good on that side. It felt like a lot of the blows up were on the right side of the line, not Powers necessarily, but I couldn't tell you if Powers had a good or bad game.
He was fine. Everybody on the offensive line struggled. I don't think that he was the worst offensive lineman out there. I would probably say that he was probably one of the better ones, but when everybody out there is playing at a C level at best, or C minus, however way you want to put it, it's tough. But Quinn Miners was definitely worse. He was just constantly getting beat. And then Mike McGlinchey, man, he could not connect on a lot of his reach blocks whatsoever.
He struggled.
It was rough to watch McGlinchey. Powers and Bulls really struggled at the start. I think the first quarter was really bad from them, and they both kind of bounced back. Bulls in the second half more so, and then Powers, they're late in the second quarter, going on to close out the game. Had a couple pretty big blocks as well for some of the runs that they did have. So I don't think Powers wasn't an issue, or wasn't the biggest issue with the offensive line performance. He played well on a unit that played terrible.
Yeah, they not the best from the Broncos offensive line in this one. Too bad, really, because I thought they've had a good season. I mean, they've been the identity of the offense, and really just couldn't get much going here. But I am going to pull up the thank you, Derek, for the super chat here. He says, what is the most important issues leading in the division round on offense and defense? Offense in general, I think everything is so connected, Eric. I have a hard time with this one. I'm going to guess you're going to say the red zone offense just because of how they've been playing as of late. For me, it's the symbiotic relationship between the coverage and which buttons the Broncos can push. Because if you are playing like the Chiefs and the Chargers did, and they're playing, a lot of deep safety shells and taking away the explosives in the pass game, you better fricking be able to run the football. Period. End of day. You have to run them out of those shells. Denver has not been able to do that. Now, if you're seeing much more, heavy fronts along the line of scrimmage, and there has to be a balancing act of when you can call it, because the Chargers did blitz and called them in good times to stop the run. You just got to know what button to push, what design, when to call it, et cetera, et cetera. Denver didn't do a good job on that. But if they're playing a lot more stop the run, Denver needs to hit on the explosives. We have not seen them do well in general the last 3-4 weeks running the football or hitting the explosives in the pass game, really since that Packers game in general. So it depends on what the defense does, but you either have to run the ball better if they're playing light, or throw the ball better and hit explosives down the field if they're playing a little bit more aggressive in their coverage and more bodies in the box.
Yeah, basically you got to do better at the 2 things that change defense the most. And depending on what they're doing, what can get them out of that, and that's running the ball or explosive plays. But I mean, again, It is what they what they've done in the red zone. And part of that is because that was early on in the season. That is where the offense seemed to get it all together. We talked about it that they were struggle between the 20s, that when they got in the red zone, the Sean Payton play designs just carried them a long ways, and they got it done, and they managed to get it into the end zone. And then over the last few weeks, I think it really started I think it really started right about the time the defense started struggling, right around the mini bye week or the bye week. Is when the offense started to have those struggles outside of a game here or there. But if you're moving the ball and you're holding the ball for 6+ minutes, 8+ minutes, and you're walking away with the field goal, it's going to be really hard to win playoff football that way. You're just eating a lot of time, and then you have teams like the Jaguars or even the Patriots or even the Bills who can hit these big explosive plays and score quickly and finish in the end zone. And pairing that with Denver's inability to hit on the explosives consistently or on the run game to help lean into that, it all works together. It's all
related.
Yeah, it's all related. But Denver has it just comes down to you got to score points, and field goals just aren't enough very often. And I think that a lot of the perception with this Broncos offense is that field goals have been enough for a lot of the season. And part of that has been the level of competition they played and the quarterbacks that they've played in a lot of it. They've 6 games where the starting quarterback didn't start or finish the full game, 5 where they didn't start it. So that plays a factor into being able to get away with field goals a lot.
And as far as the defense goes, continuing the takeaway trend that we have now, a 1 game sample size. But if they can do that, then the defense goes to a different level. That's been to be as good as they've been this season and to be the second lowest takeaway margin in total. I mean, if you do per game, it's probably the worst ever, Eric, because you have an extra game now. So not good enough on that side. They need to take the freaking ball away. That is so important. It's an old stat, but Brian Billick was kind of one of the first in terms of some of the advanced metrics in football and using them. Shout out to the Ravens. They've always kind of been on the forefront, even though they're out of the playoffs now, but on the forefront of a lot of analytically approached football, game management, team building. And he used a statistic called the toxicity differential, which was explosive plays plus turnover differential. And team that wins that a lot of times wins the game. And as boring as it is, we're going to talk about explosive plays and takeaways a lot. And on the defense, they've been pretty good at limiting the explosives. Now, granted, if you factor in defensive pass interferences, that balloons a bit, but the takeaways just have not been good enough. So that's the key. You got to take the freaking ball away.
Yeah, I was going to pair that with taking the ball away with getting pressure like they have over, starting in this game, because they kind of faltered off there after the mini bye week. In the bye week, they kind of faltered there. But the pressure they got, it was back up near 40% in this one. They got the 4 sacks. That with the takeaways can cover up a lot of the mistakes that the defense makes with their coverage miscommunications or coverage breakdowns or some of the explosive plays that they do allow. Keep generating pressure, keep generating sacks, keep taking the ball away. That's what the defense needs to really focus on.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw Amy Ellis was in the house. Good to see you, Amy. We got Mark coming in here. Great to see you, Mark. Of course, I saw it in here. Where are you, Pearl? Pearl Heater's in the house as well. There we go. Hi to you, Pearl. Appreciate you. And we do have the AFC playoff matchups here for the Broncos. Just real quick, just kind of, running down because we are reaching the end of our time here. But the Broncos, first round bye. Hallelujah. God bless. Matters so much this season. Sean Payton talked about it ad nauseum the last, 2-3 weeks about it's avoiding that first matchup where you invite volatility and randomness that is in general football, a chaos sport, small sample size sport. Random things can happen. So avoiding that one game where, you play somebody who pitches a perfect game that week and you're out. That's really, really important. I think that's much more important, and also getting a little bit healthier than potentially getting, soft or off pace with the bye week. That's a you problem if you let that happen and come out flat, where I think the injuries happening and just a random game where you get knocked off because, again, other team has a perfect game or you just lay an egg one week. It happens in the NFL. This isn't a series, right, where like in NBA or the NBA, best team's going to win because you can have a bad game and still be alive. NFL, it's one game, single elimination. So avoiding that is huge. You got the Chargers at the Patriots, Bills at Jags. Oh, that's going to be a hell of a game. And Texans at Steelers. So shout out to them. Denver will not be playing the Patriots or the Jags in the divisional round. But we have a chance at the Chargers, Bills, Texans, Steelers. We talked about this last Friday, I believe, Eric, you and I, ranking the opponents here. I'm still the same. I'm still the same here overall as far as how it goes. It'd be Steelers. I'd rather play them the most, followed by the Chargers, then the Bills, then the Texans. But Bills and Texans are close. And I might have the Bills and Texans flipped. I cannot remember exactly which way it was. But if I had to guess right now, I think the Broncos have the Bills coming to town.
Yeah, I mean...
excuse me. I don't think the Jags are going to lose. Pardon me. I'm like, the Bills are good, but I think the Jags are winning. So I'm going to go with the Texans coming to Denver. That'll be my pick.
Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. I think the Patriots will pull it off. I think that Tony Jefferson helped add to the bulletin board material for New England for motivation. And if not them, then Denver with what he said after the game, walk into the locker room. I don't see the Jaguars losing to the Bills. With the Bills, unless Josh Allen goes Super Saiyan times 10 in that one because of how bad that defense is, I think the Jaguars should be able to not necessarily have an easy one. No such thing as easy games in the playoffs, but shouldn't have too difficult of a time moving the ball against that Bills defense.
Yeah.
I hope all three home teams win just because I would love to have a shot at the Steelers. More so than the Texans, but I think the Texans are going to be able to pull it off, and that's who Denver will end up facing with the Patriots and the Jaguars winning their games.
Man, I'm going to be maybe a little bit crazy here on this one, but I think I want the Bills. Like, just for like prove it kind of game, getting the monkey off the back from last season's matchup as well. And also, I would love the Jags to be eliminated with how they are playing right now across the board. So this is going to be very much a styles make fights kind of game. I think for that 6 vs 3 matchup, it's a Josh Allen versus Josh Allen game. I think the winner gets to keep their name. The other one has to change it for that one. But no, I'm honestly hoping for I want to play the Bills. I know they're very scary. And we talked about, team having a perfect game. Sean McDermott could call a perfect game for what Sean Payton wants to do. I mean, they've struggled to stop the run, but Denver can't run the ball. So la-di-da on that one. And Josh Allen can have an absolute heater. Also, James Cook, your NFL rushing yards leader this season. But I just think that's a checkpoint the Broncos need to cross this season after how they were taken to the woodshed last season against the Bills. So we got that. I did want to say, just call out here, I think this is wrong and biased. But Joseph says Broncos the worst division winners. Only chance they have is defense. Knicks has peaked and is overrated. Overrated is one word, first off. But the other one is, how could you say the Broncos are the worst division winners when you have the freaking malady, atrocity that is the NFC South, where you have the Bucks beat the Panthers, but the Panthers get in still because the tiebreaker with the Falcons beating the Saints. I mean, are we watching the same league? Did the NFC South, miss your vantage point, Joseph? I think that's Denver's a number 1 seed overall, and they have another team in the playoffs from the AFC West as well. They are not even the most fraudulent team on the AFC side if you look at the resume only. Now you can argue, talent or whatever, but I think you can't say that they are the worst division winner when you have what the AFC North looked like this season. Patriots only beating 2 500 teams this year, and again, the NFC South. My God, just what are we doing?
Yeah, if I saw right, this is the first time ever, or something like that, or the first time in a certain amount of time, where we've had a division where every single team had a winning record, and another division had every team with a losing record. The NFC North had every team with a winning record, NFC South with a losing record. But yeah, saying Denver's the worst division winner of all time when there's been some really bad division winners out there. Worst division winner this year, I mean, you have the Carolina Panthers. There's been a lot of bad division winners, so it's tough. But Denver, they won games. It wasn't always pretty. It wasn't always close. They played down to their competition throughout the season and stuff that we all complained about. And, they have their plenty of issues, but they still won 14 games. And that is hard to do in the NFL. And so hat tip to them for winning 14 games and winning the division and making sure they got the top seed. Like, they still had to go out there and win games to do that. And yeah, they didn't always play the toughest of opponents because of, quarterbacks not playing for injury or resting or whatever the case may be, or, just the overall talent, but they still went out there and they still had a miracle comeback against the New York Giants that's never been done before in history. They still had a big game on the road in Philadelphia that nobody gave them any chance at, where they also had to come back in the fourth quarter. Like, say what you want, but this team found ways to get it done, and that matters.
Yeah, it really does. It does matter. So appreciate everybody coming in. And I thought the Patriots beat 2 teams above 500. If it is only one, then the Broncos just tied them with a 1-game sample this last week. But maybe I'm incorrect on that. They beat the Bills. Maybe did Tampa not finish with above 500? Maybe it is only one. That would be insane. And typically you don't have the schedule discrepancy like you have in college football, but that would be crazy for this season. But appreciate everybody. We're going to get on out of here. Broncos #1 seed. I don't think that another comment in here was saying that we were being, shout out to Justin, said vanilla. I mean, didn't expect anything less when the Chargers announced that Herbert would be sitting. I did wish they would be able to dictate a little bit more on the line of scrimmage on the offense. That wasn't really necessarily vanilla play calling. That was losing your one-on-one matchups fairly often. So that's one that we got to work against. And Joe's saying, why the negativity? Expect anything but a workman approach. I don't know if we're being negative, Joe. It just it was a ho-hum game, and Denver went out there and did what they needed to do. I mean, 19-3, one of those red zone trips turns into a touchdown, and this is a full-on, blowout for the Broncos, winning by 20 in this one. So again, you had the defensive turnover, takeaway, points on the board. You win a lot of those games when that happens. And after that, it felt like the Broncos kind of parked the bus to a certain extent. So yeah, I don't feel negative about it, but I also don't feel like, totally excited jumping up and down. You took care of business. We have bigger fish to fry. I would imagine the approach and the feelings in the locker room match as well. Acknowledge what you've done. It's good. It's the culmination of the season and all the hard work in the off season and the team building and everything that's gotten to that point. But that was that's a checkpoint. Now we have big fish to fry. Get ready, get your mind right, get healthy, take a step away for a bit. I think Denver's back in the facilities on Thursday this upcoming week, Thursday and Friday, and then they prepare like normal the following week. I believe that's what I read for their approach this bye weekend. Big fish to fry. It'll be awesome. Did have one more question for you, Eric. So Denver, #1 seed, win the AFC West for the first time in a decade, blah, blah, blah. All great. But would you say that this season, not a failure, I think failure is too harsh of a word, but underwhelming if Denver goes one and done in the playoffs? If they don't win this first playoff game at home, what does that mean for the season on the whole?
This is a conversation I believe you and I had earlier in the season, and Carl and I had earlier in the season. And I can't remember what I said then, but I think no. I don't think if they go one and done, I don't think this is a failure. The fact that they went 14-3, won the way they did, got the experience they needed, while still carrying the anchor of $36 million of dead cap space just on Russell Wilson, and still having like 35 million in salary cap space to work with after the season. Like, they have a lot to take away from the season, whether they win the first game or lose the first game, or go one and done or go all the way, whatever. They have a lot to take away from this one. I don't think this is a failure of a season if that happens, just because of that, and a lot of young guys getting much needed experience, and a lot of having the core of the defense and even the offense together for another season, staying healthy and playing together. I don't think that this is a failure if they are one and done in the playoffs.
I'm with you. It would be underwhelming to be one and done in the playoffs, considering a playoff win is the next hurdle for this franchise. Obviously, I mean, winning the Super Bowl would be great, but like winning a playoff game is a legitimate hurdle that this team has to cross. But I think that because they got the #1 seed, I'm going to kind of maybe do some ninja mind tricks on this one. I think the goal, I mean, getting to the second round of the playoffs is big. And that's a win. And because you got the number 1 seed, you earned the right to not have to play this week in the wild card round. I think if they would have gotten the wild card round, let's say they lose yesterday and get the 3 seed and then lose to the Bills again, I wouldn't say it's a failure, but like that really hurts after the season. But you already got to win. You won your wild card matchup already because you got the 1 seed. So I feel a little bit better about that. And we'll see who it is. And it's just great to be here and enjoying what this team has been this season and really appreciating. I mean, obviously it's not a perfect team. Eric, if we'd have been doing the show in 2013, you and I probably would have been bitching about the defense and the offensive line for that Broncos as they put up, 50 points a game, or 2015, doubting them because the offense was, unbelievably dreadful. That 2012
for yourself, I was doing this during those years,
but like a live stream kind of thing.
Yeah, we wasn't doing live stream, but
yeah. Different era 10 years ago, but overall, it's been a heck of a ride this season and another Victory Monday. Hopefully not our last one this season, but what a great year. It's been so much fun and really if you want to call me a doubter as well, I was a doubter to some extent. I think I had them getting 11 wins this season. To beat that by 3, very much jury out on Bo Nix. We'll have plenty of a time to talk about what this season means for him long-term as the season closes and the long, boring, dreadful offseason, especially after the draft comes and goes. But those are things we don't have to get into yet. All we know right now is Denver's number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And boy, they got as good of a chance as anybody in the AFC because of where they're at, getting a week healthy and having every game at home. Shout out to the Broncos fans in the stadium. Super loud, super energetic, despite, kind of a underwhelming opponent with everybody playing against Chargers. They stood up and lost their voices for this team. So really, really good game for the fans, and nobody wants to be coming to Denver. I'm hoping that we get a little bit of cold and ice maybe coming up here for some of these games. Appreciate and jury out on next. I meant like entering the season, Justin. Sorry, I was not clear enough. As soon as I said, I'm like, do I need to come back and make that clearer? But that's an overall great season.
Yeah, I just got a great season for the Broncos, great season for all of them. Super happy for them. Even exceeded my expectations, and I had them go on 13-4, which, hey, I still remember exactly who it was. Those of you in chat that were making fun of me after the 1-2 start, I remember who you are. Who is right now?
It was me with burners.
Probably was. I know how you are with those burners. Tired of getting those DMs from you on your burners on Twitter. But also, I want to reiterate something that Chad said Friday night when I was doing the show with him. I am also super happy for you, Nick, for Lance, for Carl, for Dylan, for all of you guys. You guys weren't here when Denver was. You were here for the playoff run last year, but you weren't here for that 2015 season. You weren't part of MHH, and a lot of people in the chat also weren't here during that time for that. And so I'm happy for you guys that you guys get to experience this. Obviously, back then we weren't doing the live shows. I wasn't even doing podcasts at the time, but I was still covering the team. I was still part of MHH. I was doing a lot of written content. And I remember the joy and the fire it lit under me and all that, and just being able to cover the team that you love as they go through and hopefully make a run. Obviously, time doesn't tell, but to get back to the number 1 seed, glad you all are here, part of this, and get to experience it all together.
Heck yeah. Well, a lot of fun this season, and we'll see what happens next for the Broncos. Yeah, great season and so much fun thanks to you guys as well. Shout out to Eric jumping in here doing these morning shows. Shout out to Dylan in the background as well. Make sure you guys are following all of us on Twitter. Eric is at Eric Trickle. I'm at Nick Kendall MHH. Also follow Dylan at, is it Dylan Von Arks MHH? Heck yeah. It doesn't show up on the screen. Otherwise, I don't have a reference to go off. So that's great. Go me. We also got at Mile High Huddle, of course. We're over at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And as that ticker says there underneath, please subscribe, like, and share. Shout out to our Supers Chat givers today coming in, hanging out. Perry West, big time. Uncle Rico, come throw some footballs over a mountain sometimes. And Derek as well. Appreciate you with the good questions. Number 1 seed Denver Broncos. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy getting back into it. If you've had a little bit of time off here. My kid has in-service today, so I'm going to have to try to work around him being home. Wish me luck. It was his second birthday yesterday, and the Terrible Twos were off to a flying start, so that's great. But have a great one, everybody. Eric and I will see you again Friday morning with a little bit more information, maybe some coaching conversations as well, maybe get into a little bit of the matchups of Denver who could play. You guys have a great one. Kindness and compassion. Number 1 seed Broncos, 14-3. What a season. we'll see what happens next. Go Broncos.